By a show of hands, how many of you make less than you think that you are worth? Why is that? It's time for you to put your foot down and say, enough. Luckily, you're here at the right time and the right place. The most wonderful real estate podcast ever is the path that you seek. I'm Dwanderful Twyford, and I have closed over 2,000 deals. I've been investing for over 30 years. I've seen all the markets, and I've done over $500 million worth of deals. I mean, think about that. $500 million worth of real estate. And I have a heart for you. I want you to walk my path with me. Your life is about to change. And do you know why? Because it's time to thrive in 25. Say it with me. It's time to thrive in 25. It's time to thrive to 25. Enjoy the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the most wonderful real estate podcast ever. I'm your host, Dwanderful Twyford, America's most sought after real estate investor. You can find me at dwanderful.com. As you know, I took my name Dwan and Wonderful and I made a new word. So this is the Dwanderful universe, and you are now a part of it. I'm super excited about the guest I have today. First of all, he's so handsome. Let me just say that. So good looking. So I'm interviewing Bronson Hill today, and his is the Mailbox Money Show. So I remember when your team reached out to me, I was like, oh, I like the word mailbox money because I have mailbox money, and I would like to hear how you get mailbox money. And you're the first person I've interviewed that has like the word like mailbox money like in their description. So I was like, I definitely want to try to get you on the board. So thank you so much, Mr. Bronson, for being, make sure I say that right. Bronson, thank you so much for being on the show today. We're super excited and we have a lot of fun questions.
I'm excited to chat, excited to get into the Dwanderful world. And I can be, since my name is Bronson, I could be Bronderful, right?
Yes, Dwanderful. See, I was going to do Dwanderful, Dwantastic. Like there's just, and I call my students my Dwandenaires, like millionaires, Dwandenaires. So we have a lot of fun over here, but you know, we're also very serious investors. And I love to, so yeah, so whoever on your team reached out to me, you know, because you know, I'm sure you get like 20 emails a day from people. And most of them I just go, Yeah. Because, you know, like some things just, and I was like, oh, wait, hold on, mailbox money. I like that. I like that. I teach about mailbox money. Let me see what that means. Let's interview this guy.
Awesome. I'm excited to talk about it. I mean, mailbox money, we should really call it direct deposit because most people don't receive checks as much anymore. It's a lot of like direct deposit in your account, but but I love the imagery, right? That just like in your mailbox, you go.
No, you got to keep your mailbox money. That's a great term. Okay. So the way we start is I just have you, I'm just going to throw you right into the wolves. We want to know what's your deal. So just like 2 or 3 sentences, name, how to find you, socials, and then I'm just going to ask questions and we're going to talk. We're going to get to know each other.
Awesome. Yeah. So my name is Bronson Hill. I run a company called Bronson Equity. We basically help people to get cash flow appreciation or tax benefits through investing in things like real estate, oil and gas, private businesses. And we have an educational, like you mentioned, my podcast. I'm the best-selling author of this book behind me here, Fire Yourself, Replace Your Working Income with Passive Income in 3 years or less. And I just love helping people to, make money outside of Wall Street and the Main Street and being able to fire themselves to be able to do what they're here on this earth to do. So that's my passion.
Yep, I love it. Yep, I love it. I'm the same way. I have some T-shirts I wear sometimes when I teach that say unemployable.
Yeah.
I said, the best thing I can do for you is make you unemployable to where you wouldn't even be able to imagine having to go to work 9 to 5. It's like, why would I ever do that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, man, I just love that I can have my own schedule. When you work on your own or you're able to have income come in, you're able to create what you want to create with your life. And you don't have to deal with traffic or grinding or I've got these sales goals or your boss saying you need a great job this quarter. You need to do more next quarter. And it's like, I don't want to be that. I want to be living my own life where I can live and develop in my own purpose. And I think that's what most people miss. 70% of people don't like their jobs. Like they're stuck in a job they don't want to do. To me, it's one of the biggest tragedies is that we're not free to do what we're here and our purpose is here to do. And so just one of my favorite proverbs is without vision, people perish. And so if you don't keep creating this greater vision in front of you, you're going to, in a way, be dying inside.
Now, I am with it. Can I ask you how old you are?
45.
45. I thought so. I think it's about in 45. I thought you spit out a proverb too. I also feel the same way. My dad, I'm from Ohio and we lived in the country. So I graduated, so I'm 66. So I graduated high school in the 70s. And in the 70s, it wasn't like go to college. It was like go get a job at General Motors, build cars, work 40 years for the man, get
Yeah.
married, have kids. So that's all I heard my entire life. So I did get a job in a factory like the first week out of high school. And I remember after like 2 weeks, just crying because I've never been in a factory and it's just hot and concrete and it's just hot, 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 hot. And it was June in the
Yeah.
Midwest. And I was like, why would anybody want this for me? Why would my family want? Why would they want me to do this? I'm like, I can't do this until I'm 60 years old. I won't make it. And luckily, 6 weeks later, the boss came walking through and he had all these papers in his hands. I'm like, the factory floor like froze. And I'm like, what's going on? Oh my God, he's got pink slips. He's got all these papers. Like, what is a pink slip? And they go, that means they're going to lay people off. Now, I'm really naive. This isn't like my first job. I'm like, what does that mean? Because that means a bunch of people are going to go home today and not work. I was like, oh, Lord, please, 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 please let him give me a pink slip. I'm just like, please let me get a pink slip. And so I did. And I was like, thank you. And it's funny because at the time I'm 18, I grew up in the country. I was raised very naively. And I had a woman that worked like in the booth next to me. She's just bawling, just, oh my God, I've got kids. And I'm like, girl, you're free. Go, you're free. Because I wasn't mature enough to understand at 40, she had a mortgage and kids. And like, she was
Yeah.
not excited. I was just like, woohoo, all the way out
Yeah.
the door. And I went to a bar that night. I was like, I'm free. And so back then I knew I needed to work for myself because it doesn't work for me. So,
Yeah. It's funny. We're taught to be, go get the job, the safe, go get a great education with, and my family are all teachers, so my dad's a college professor, my mom's a teacher, my grandmother, sister, my, aunt and uncle, everybody's teachers. And so the idea of doing something different is outside the box. But I think that, we're taught to be job seekers rather than job creators, right? And so we have more job seekers that are seeking than are jobs that are actually been created, especially with AI now. I mean, if you
oh,
follow what's happening, I was at a Tony Robbins event recently. He said in the next 5 years, he believes there's going to be more change to human life because of robotics and AI than there have been in the previous thousands of years of human history. And I think that could be happening. Whole sections of like, oh, we just don't need accountants anymore, right? We found a way to automate all that, right? And it's like, oh wow, that's all kind of gone. We got to figure something else out. It's going to be very,
yeah, I
very
know.
disruptive.
I went into this like not comparatively, but I went to a Taco Bell the other day and there's these things you have to order. And I walked up and said, hey, I want to make an order. He says, no, you got to make them over there. I said, well, can I just make the order with you? He says, no, you have to use the machines. So at first I was kind of like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to take jobs on people. But then I was like, oh, I could put like triple sour cream and extra sauce and like really just put this order down. I thought, okay, I don't mind this so much. But there were only two people in the whole place and all they do is make food. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, okay, because that was my first job in high school. That's like, wow, okay, we are needing people less and less and less. So that brings us to mailbox money, because how are people going to? I know people hate their jobs. Every place I teach, I say by show of hands, how many of you think you're worth more than you make, or you don't like your job? And almost every hand goes up. And I'm
Right.
just like, oh man, people,
Yeah.
they're stuck in. So let's talk about this in mailbox box money. Give us like an actionable tip or something, kind of explain what it is a little bit more. And
Yeah.
how
So,
people,
so
I want to make sure we give like two or three really good, like if you do this, 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 you can get in the right direction. I trust that you are loving the podcast. Hey, do you really want to become a super kick-ass superstar real estate investor? Really? 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 All right, I want you to spend the next minute and just take my real estate investing quiz. Super fast, super quick. It'll let you know where you stand on your journey. The link is in the show notes, or you can go to dwanderful.com. And back to the show.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. A lot of us, there's this buzzword called passive income, right? Passive income, and it's people say, oh, if I own a rental house, then I've got passive income, or if I do an online business, or I trade options and stocks online. But none of those things are actually passive. In really my journey, I was a well-paid medical sales professional, was making over 200,000 per year, but I didn't have control over my time. I worked with physicians that would work 80 hours a week, and they couldn't take vacations. They were making like millions of dollars, making a lot of money, but they couldn't take time off. And so they didn't have that time freedom we talked about, right? So I think the idea of passive income or cat mailbox money is that you're not doing the work. Warren Buffett has this quote, and he says, unless you learn how to make money while you sleep, you'll work until you die. And so it maybe you like what you do and you like your job, and maybe not maybe at a factory wherever you're working. But what happens if you can't work? What happens if God forbid something happens to one of your family members and you need to take care of them? So the idea of having income that comes in now is very valuable. Now I think that a lot of people would say, I want passive income, but there's nothing that's really fully passive because, being fully passive, just you can't delegate your finances to someone else because they're not you, and no one cares about your money the way you do. So, but there are investments, in my opinion, that are more passive. So this is really ideal for someone who makes a lot of money in their job or has a net worth of at least 500,000 to a million, who's like, hey, I have a money problem. Not that I don't have enough money, but I have money and I don't know what to do with it where I can get that mailbox money. So what that means is, there are investments, you do the work on the front end where you vet the team, you vet the deal, and these could be real estate projects. We have things we do in real estate debt funds. We become the lender for different projects. And then every month, investors get a direct deposit, right? Every month, people get paid, or maybe they're longer term projects that people get paid over time. But I think the goal is for most people, if I figure out how much I need to live on, it's not necessarily when I was making 200 plus thousand per year, I didn't need to replace that. What I really needed was about 6,000 a month, which was more than enough at the time for me to be able to leave my job because that was my living expenses. I lived pretty simply. It was kind of enough for me. And so once I had that number coming in with cash flow, I was free. And so that's that mailbox kind of rat race number. And so, you can't maybe go from 0 to 6,000, but can you go from 0 to 500, or can you go to 1,000? Can you find ways to grow that? And then over time, work becomes optional because you say, okay, well, I've covered my living expenses. Do I want to keep doing this? And even if if you choose not to quit your job, you have the freedom to if you want to, which is a really empowering thought for most people.
Now, I think so too, because, nowadays, I mean, you know how it is. Companies, there's no loyalty in companies like there used to be. Like, I guess, like in my parents, I guess I'm a boomer, so the silent generation are maybe the older boomers. I still feel like everyone back then just depended on, working for the man in the company and the company to take care of you, and you could work for 40 years. And now it's like, there's a new thing, a new term, there's a new something. It feels like weekly. And there's some, new real estate slang or term or something. And everyone's just trying to, I think, kind of bounce around a lot, trying to figure out what they want to do. Because it, like you said, like AI is taking away a lot of things. Well, then there's always new things coming. I feel like it's really hard for people, unless you have like a dedicated career that you really like. I feel like it's really kind of hard to even just like find a job where people will care enough about you to not just go, oh, you're 10 minutes late. Get the F out of here. You're fired.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's really, and it's, I don't know if it's just our culture, but I think that in one hand, it's great that we have, jobs available or stuff out there we can do. But I was just reading, there's a guy named Peter Diamandis who does the Moonshots podcast. He does this award prize for people that do space ventures and things like this. And one of the things he was just saying, like, we've kind of reached a point now where stock prices and investing capital can go up without necessarily needing more workers. And that's kind of a scary thought. Usually those were kind of hand in hand. Now it's kind of like there's not always a relationship there. So I think that the things I look for in that, because that can be both discouraging as a worker or somebody who's in it, but you also say, well, this also is bringing incredible opportunities. So what are the opportunities? Well, one of them is there's no technology in place where people do not need a roof over their head and a bed to sleep in, right? There's nothing on the horizon. So if you own assets, if you own real estates, if you own a business, if you own things that produce, those things are going to continue to be worth something. And I think probably even more, even the more digital things become, the more real assets such as real estate are going to become more and more valuable. So I think we're in a time of massive change. I think everybody can kind of see it's coming and it's here, and we don't really know where it's going. But I think
We
the more
don't.
you can, and that's kind of a little scary, but it's also like, well, I think in general, technology has made our lives better. It's introduced some challenges, but if you kind of just get left behind, you are gonna get left behind, and I think in a very quick way. So I think it'll be really interesting to see what the next 5 to 10 years look like.
So if someone comes to you and they say, Mr. Bronson, I heard you on Dwanderful's podcast. I would like you to help me make mailbox money. What are you going to help them do? What are you going to expose them to?
Yeah, so typically what we do is I've had over 2,500 calls with high net worth investors, kind of one-on-one, where I just ask questions and say, what really are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? For some people, if somebody has $5 million in the bank and they're a physician and they're looking to retire, like that's one conversation. If somebody's like, hey, I'm paycheck to paycheck, that's another conversation. So it's just trying to figure out what really your goals are. For the person who has 500K to $1 million, maybe there's the ability to invest outside of Wall Street, which I used to be an investment advisor. I know I call myself a recovering investment advisor in RIAs. I'm not registered, but recovering. And so, but I'm big on getting money out of Wall Street and into Main Street. So how can we do that? How can we get money? Because the returns are way better. You look at the ultra wealthy. I can give multiple examples, but there's ways, just the returns are way better, and Wall Street always finds a way to get paid even when you don't. So I think the first part starts with education, and it's getting around, podcasts and books and, conferences and things, just getting around people that are doing, because everything sounds a little weird until you talk to somebody who's just like you, who's also in your profession, and they've been doing this type of investing for 10 years, and they're willing to share notes and say, here's how I've done really well. Here's how I've had some setbacks. And that feels like a very authentic conversation, because the problem in finance is everybody is trying to sell you something, right? If you're somebody who has money, everybody's trying to sell you something. But if you get to in a peer group that no one's trying to sell you anything, they'll share very openly, and it kind of makes it much more real. So we provide a lot of investor education, a lot of resources. We do deals. We have different projects and real estate, oil and gas, debt funds, different types of things we're doing. There's a lot of groups out there like us. But I think the first thing starts with education and being willing to put yourself in rooms where you wouldn't normally go to, around people that are talking about these ideas when it comes to investing in real estate.
So do you guys offer like syndications and things like that?
Yeah, we do syndications, fund to funds. We've raised over $50 million the last 5, 6 years just from individual investors. This is, 50,000, 100,000 here and there. And people decide to join. They say, hey, I've got money in my retirement account, which people don't realize they can use retirement funds to invest into alternative assets such as real estate, and they can get cash flow from that, or at least grow their retirement more. So we provide opportunities, and like I said, there are others that do. And without giving me specific thing that we're doing, but people want to reach out, we can share those. But I think the biggest thing is just the education side of seeing that, I don't have to just, if I'm 45 years old or somebody listening is 50 years old, you don't have to be doing this for the next 10 to 20 years, right? You can actually make a shift, take some different behaviors, and hopefully in 3 to 5 years, work can potentially become optional for you, depending on your situation. We've seen many people do that, where they've been able to get some cash flow. They were able to retire their wife, or they were able to retire themselves, or they were able to switch careers to do something that they were much more passionate about. And so those are the things that really create change for people in their lives when it comes to finances.
So so you were talking about real estate. You said something about gas and oil.
Yeah.
So tell me about that, because I love that.
Yeah. So it's funny. A lot of people don't really know much about oil and gas, and there's a couple things about it that I love. One is cash flow. A lot of real estate these days, it's harder to find deals that cash flow, whether it's a single family, a multifamily. It's hard to find things that actually put money in your pocket. So oil and gas does that. Some of these cash flow very quickly. A lot of times the payback period is 1.5 to 2.5 years. Maybe a little more, a little less, but generally they pay back pretty quickly. And then one of the most advantageous things about it, and it's been in the tax code for over 100 years, is that for money that someone makes of any source, this could be business income, somebody could be a high earner, they can use almost a 1-for-1, and it reduces their actual taxable income. So for example, if I make $200,000 a year and I put 100,000 into an oil and gas deal, it's very common they get about an 85% reduction of that tax, of the amount they put in, the taxable income. So it shows their income now is only 115,000 for the year. So in year one, before they've made anything, just simply by investing, they get this huge tax break. So that could save them, depending on their tax rate, could save them $15,000 to $30,000 just even before they actually even get any funds from it. So there's things like that where people don't realize it. It almost sounds too good to be true. And I work with people. I live in California. The highest tax rate, the high earners, especially physicians that work for a hospital or something, are paying over 60% in taxes, right? Over 60%. It's
Seriously?
insane. Yeah, seriously. Because
That sounds like That sounds like
Yeah.
over in like Europe and stuff, like
No,
socialism.
it's actually 62% because you look at it, or maybe it's 67%. You look at it, it's so let's do the math here. 39% federal tax rate is the highest tax rate, right? So if you're making over $1 million, it's 39% federal. Then California, the great state of California, 13% state tax rate. So you're at 52%. Then you have 15.3% self-employment tax. So if you are self-employed, if you're a self-employed physician, that puts you over 67% taxes for
Yeah,
those that you're making over $1 million. So it's absolutely insane. But there
I
are
didn't
people
know
that
it was
will
that
will
bad. Gosh, all the poor
it,
people. No wonder they're all like leaving in droves.
yeah, because it's like they want their pound of flesh, but there are these we call them incentives, and we don't necessarily call them loopholes. We call them these are things the government has actually incentivized in the tax code, and then with oil and gas, it's been over 100 years of ways you can legally pay less in taxes. So there's tax evasion, which is illegal,
Oh,
which you go
yeah,
to
so we
jail
don't want
for.
that.
And then there's tax avoidance, which is legal, and I think it's actually the government doesn't want to provide housing or energy because what do they do when they provide housing? It becomes the projects in the hood, right? As we think of
It
government
does.
housing, what do we think of? Versus when you or I do real estate, we provide great places for people. I can tell you have a great fashion sense there, Juan. So you provide a great setting there, I'm sure, for people. And so it's the same with oil and gas. They want clean energy or energy for people. And so anyway, those are some of the reasons that I think people need to learn about the different types of investments to reduce taxes and increase cash flow.
They do. I think that people, I mean, I don't know, just since I've just stayed in I'm not even in like a real estate, like as an agent. I'm only in the distressed property foreclosures. It's got to be like a foreclosure, bankruptcy, a divorce, something the bank will give me for, 5 cents on the dollar, something that's
Yeah.
distressed. If it's distressed, I'm in. If it's like, oh, look
Yeah.
at this beautiful house over here, it's like, no. So I've never had a real estate license. I'm like, listen, I do not have the personality to schlep people around looking at houses. Is like I'd be like, listen, I showed you 3 houses, just pick one. We don't have all day here. So
Yeah.
I'm not in that side. So I'm on the investing side of it. But even on the just with the real estate part, even that's a big step for people because they're like, do I want to wholesale houses? Do I want to have rentals? If you know nothing about having rentals, collecting the a lot of them don't cash flow very much. If someone's like, oh, I watched their podcast. I'm gonna buy a 100-unit apartment building. It's like, but do you really know anything about that? And there's just so many like options and some are very risky, but like you said, if you have the education and the training, someone that's guiding you, I feel like that's the whole purpose. Like for me, it's like I just want to guide people to do the right thing, that where they're not going to lose everything on the first
Yeah.
deal, because you know how easy it is to lose.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I think a lot of people, they don't really we don't get training on this stuff when we're going through school, right? Nobody teaches us how to be an investor, what it is we need to do, what does a great deal look like. And the funny thing is, if you look at people that are net worth of 1 million or less, most people own a lot of stocks and bonds, and they're not invested in a lot of other things. And then you look at people that are worth over 20 million. There's a group called Tiger 21 who you have to be a net worth of over 20 million to join, and they'll show that they have over 50% in a combination of private equity and real estate. And private equity just being a private owner of a business that's not publicly traded, right? So finding private deals like the syndications of the things, funds that people do, and also commercial real estate. So if you watch what the ultra wealthy do, and then you look at the returns of private equity and commercial real estate, it's about 2x what the S&P does without the volatility. So it's like you have a way better asset with less volatility. So a lot of people just don't know, and it's interesting how Wall Street has made a lot of investing, in their stuff. They can advertise it, they can have all these ways to do it, all these, and there are some great opportunities out there, but there's a lot of fees, a lot of hidden fees that are there. And
Wow.
when it comes to private deals, you have to kind of be in the know. You've got to actually be in groups. We actually have a mastermind group called the Wealth Forum, where we have people that are net worth of 1 million, 2 million or more. Some are very high worth, net worth over 40 million, and they pay to join this group because they want to have access to deals and they want to have access to other people that are in the same place of life as them. And it's not all money. It's also like, how do I teach my kids about wealth in a way that they're not spoiled, right? How do I, what's
Generational wealth.
generational wealth? And also, we have a guy who's about 60. He's done everything in his business and is investing, I mean, tens of millions of dollars, and he's incredible. And yet he's trying to say, well, what's next for me now? What do I create now in my life? And so being around people that are in that same place of life can be
Yeah,
incredibly valuable.
it can be. So if someone's just a regular 9 to 5 kind of person, they're listening to you and they're like, hey, I'd really like to learn more, or Are there is there any way for people to that don't have that kind of money to be like, hey, Bronson, I followed your thing and listened to your podcast, the
Yeah.
mailbox money. Is there some way for me to take a step?
Yeah, so I guess there's two ways. One, if you have money, you can be a passive investor. If you don't have money, when I started, even though I was making a good income, I didn't have a lot of money, so I actually chose to be an active investor. Right, it's just somebody who puts more time and more sweat equity in and helps other people. So to me, I mentioned those people that have a money problem where they don't have no, it's not they have no money, they have money, and they don't know what to do with it. So if I can be someone in that space, or maybe you can be someone in that space that can help educate, find deals, you can help people get into those projects. There's huge opportunities. I mean, there's really huge opportunities everywhere if you're willing to do the work. So, there's a saying, Robert Kiyosaki, who wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad, the best-selling personal finance
Oh
book of
yeah.
all time. He said basically, it's selfish to only use your own money, and he's like really emphatic when he says it. He's like, it's selfish to do this. So the idea is, if you can, what I've done is just try to help give opportunities to other people to be able to invest alongside when we go about moving forward. So if somebody doesn't have money, that definitely will not stop you. It just means you have to be willing to get in rooms with people that have money and try to listen and ask questions and figure out what they're looking for, and then help them get it.
It's funny because a lot of people don't realize, like, my aunts and uncles are all like late 80s into the 90s, and my one aunt's 99. And these people have worked the whole whatever, dear 40 years of, and they're just sitting on like a kajillion dollars because they never spent anything. They worked. They were like kids in the war, so they had war rations. And as they grew up, they're very frugal. And I have so many people in my family. I'm like, hey, so what do you do when like doing with your money? Did everyone invest? Like, oh, I don't know. I've got a lot of money. So my dad, a few years back, he's finally like, listen, I've got this amount of money and it's not going fast enough. I think I want to invest some money in real estate. Can you help me?
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
the same guy that for like 20 years is like, you need to get a real job and have insurance and have benefits. You're raising a child, you're a single mother, you can't do that. And then all of a sudden, he's like, okay, listen, I got money I need to invest. What do I do with this money?
Yeah, it's a big mind shift, right? A lot of people, the things we're taught. It's funny, my dad as well, who, is a PhD in kinesiology, and he's been a college professor for years and always stressed education and hard work. He's coming around to like, hey, actually, I should be figuring out how to do this. There's so much information out there that if people are actually paying attention, Tony Robbins had this book that came out. I obviously follow Tony Robbins, but he had this book called Money Master the Game. And he said that most people will say, like, if you have an employer retirement plan, which most people do, it'll say, oh, the fees are 1.2 to 1.5% per year. But when you look, there's all these hidden fees, things like administrative fee and marketing fee
So
and
much.
cash drag fee and exchange fee. What are these BS fees? But they're fees. So it adds about another 2% to the actual cost of the fund. So you're at 3.2%. And then if you have a money person, let's say you have a money manager, you have a Morgan Stanley or one of these big Wall Street managers, that's another 2% on top of everything. And so it's typically around 5.2% per year are your actual fees. And the returns of the stock market are only 6% to 9% per year. And that's kind of when you average the up and down here. So it's taking most of your money. And this really makes me upset in a way, Don, because the problem is we think we're making money when really it's a glorified savings account, and Wall Street is making a ton of money on our money. Really, I mean that it really is.
You're so true. It's so true. It is so true. I tell you, and people are afraid of the stock market. People are just, they're afraid of trying new things. And I'm just like, listen, the way the world is going, you need to get out there and try some new things because it's like nobody's safe. You just got to get out there, figure out
Yeah,
all the big companies. It's like everything's getting bought up by everybody else. And it's like, you just got to
yeah.
get out there and do your own thing, I feel like.
Yeah, I think we're coming into a time where we're going to start to have a more entrepreneurial way of living because we've had that in finance for a while where you've had to kind of manage your own financials. But I don't know what it's going to look like in the future. And I think there's a lot of risk of in the next 5, 10 years, if there's major unemployment, thinking about having, where are you storing your wealth and how are you going to do this? Because when people go through a lot of pain, if I don't have any assets, and I'm doing a job thinking it will never go away. Well, look at just the drive. Just look at driving alone. I think there's 8 million drivers in the U.S. that drive a truck, drive an Uber, drive cars. Like they're within the next 5, 10 years, probably almost all of those jobs are going to be gone, right? We can kind of see it. It's right there. What is people going to do? Well, there'll be other things that they can do, but people have to be willing to get retrained. They have to be willing to try new things. And so it's a time, it's interesting. People compare it to like when we were driving horse and buggies, then we went to cars. Like people were like angry. I mean, there were people that were angry. Like probably the horse people were like, "Oh my gosh, these cars are taking away all the business." And I'm a shoesmith for,
Yeah,
doing horseshoes
exactly.
and whatever. But there were incredible jobs that opened up. And even look at Henry Ford was paying about 3 to 5 times the normal rate, $5 a day at the time to go work in the factory with. So it will open up new opportunities, but people have to be flexible. And I think it's going to be hard for a lot of people. A lot of us, as we get older, just in life, it's hard. Change can be hard, but I think every sort of challenge brings new opportunities.
I think if I'm not correct, and I saw this on like I like to watch all the history about I don't know, it's some channel on the thing that has like 8 series and they'll be about a person. And I could swear it was Henry Ford. Is like if you ask people what they want, they'll say they want a faster horse.
That's
And
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
is that it,
Yep.
right?
Yeah.
And he's like, but you give them a car, and they're gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna want a faster car down the road.
Yeah, and that's the amazing thing about investing is that investment interests change, investment needs change. So obviously, there's some trends right now. Anything related to senior care or healthcare, because people generally have an aging population, there are going to be more and more care. People don't want to go into some big assisted living; they want to stay at home. So what are things that are around that eventually there could be robots at home taking care of us? In our
You
old
never
age, it's one of the
know.
trends. You're like, no, no way. Well, you could put one with pink hair on, or you could have
That's
one that
right.
would be
Yeah,
like,
it's funny. I talked to someone the other day that it does is senior housing. I said, listen, people that are going into senior housing, they're probably some of them, I'm sure they're my age, 66, but so if you get like people that are 70 and above, they were like teenagers in the 60s. You need to make like rock and roll senior housing, like where they're playing the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin. And they're like how they were in their teens, like give them, here's some mushrooms, here's some weed, we're having a joint rolling class. Because that's what they did. I said, take them back to where they were, and you'll have waiting lines for years.
yeah, yeah. No, things definitely change. So I think that I think the biggest thing people can do in this season is to learn about AI, spend time with ChatGPT, ask questions about your life. Hey, I'm doing this as a job. What are things that could change? What should I be educated on?
Mhm.
I've used it now. Like something we've done recently, Dwan, is we've found, I live in Southern California, right next to where the fires happened earlier this year. And so we have all these homes that burn, over 6,000 homes that burn right like a mile away from my house, a couple miles from my house. And so I basically started using ChatGPT. What can I do to help in this area? And they said, well, based on your experience, why don't you become a modular and prefabricated home dealer where they build homes off-site in 7 days? They put them on trucks. And these are not like double wides. I mean, they look like these cool
Yeah,
looking,
yeah,
things. And so I found like I can do that. They build them in 7 days. They can bring them in. So I'm going to be doing that to help people to rebuild. And then we're going to do a fund where we're going to raise money and we're going to bring investors in and go help rebuild the town, right? So I think that in any area of your life, you can do it health. You can do it with, how do I work with my kids, whatever. It's like there's so many options now.
yeah.
And it's like it's not going to be perfect, but you're going to get all these ideas of ways that you can actually benefit from it. So if anybody's overwhelmed, if you haven't used ChatGPT, if you haven't started looking into some of these, just start asking questions. Hey, this is where I'm at. What should I be looking into? What are some things that could be coming? What are some other options? And maybe I work as an accountant. Well, maybe there's this other thing that you could do to get trained that's kind of a lateral thing to that actually is a growth opportunity, right? There's other things that are there. So the biggest challenge is when you get blindsided, you don't see something coming, it's hard to shift. But if you can prepare for it, you can make changes, you can make plans, you're ready for what's to come, especially when it comes to AI and some of the innovation that's taking place.
That's why I love Chat GPT because I don't have to write letters anymore.
Yeah,
I'm like,
right.
this is so great. Okay,
Yeah.
so I want to switch. I want to ask you some questions. What's your favorite band of all time?
Favorite band of all time. I really like. I just saw Coldplay a little while ago, maybe about a year ago in Dallas, and I'm a songwriter as well, so I've written over 100 songs over the years, and so I have
Nice.
just different songs I've written. Just wrote some kind of gospel Christian songs I've written. Also, I went through a divorce 8 years ago, so some love and heartbreak songs, a lot of material
Oh,
there. But yeah, Coldplay, I got to see them live. They actually wrote a song. We were in Dallas. They wrote a song, and it was fun to hear them like write it on the spot. It was pretty neat. So it's
that's
fun.
neat. So you need to do something with that songwriting gift that you've got there.
Yeah, yeah, and I am. I bring it out at different seasons, and it's a way that it's therapy for me when I go through something challenging. I can take something difficult and transform it into something great, and then I can share it with somebody, and I don't feel like I slime them. I feel like I give them something like, oh, I can hear the emotion, or I can hear what's going on. Even ChatGPT can help with the writing now because I can say I need something that rhymes with, I don't know, some fun, accordion or something, and it'll find something to put in there. So
Ah, I love that though. Coldplay, they're fun. Oh my God, when that big Jumbotron thing happened, I think the poor guy, Chris Martin, was just like, I don't know what to do. Like, what have I done right now? He
yeah,
was like, oh no. That guy went home thinking, what did I do?
that
What's
was
your
that was
favorite
a, that was a life
food?
changer for those guys. Yeah, that was
Ugh, what's your favorite
my
food?
favorite food. It's funny. People ask me this. I just like good food. Like you just give me like the like really good Thai food, really good steak, really good. I've traveled to 48 countries, so I love traveling. I mean, I kind of like a variety. I really like a lot of different things, but just what comes to mind. Yeah, I love a good steak. I love Thai food. I love some
Me
good
too.
Mexican. I mean,
Me
I can eat a
too.
lot of things. Yeah.
Me too. Yeah, me too. I just had Thai food like 2 days ago. It's like, oh, I love Thai food.
So good.
I don't have it
So
because we live
good.
in the mountains. So up in the
Yeah.
mountains, we just have like a Chinese restaurant, a diner, a Mexican
Right.
restaurant. Like we just a couple things. So we have
Yeah.
to go to Denver. So when I'm in Denver, I'm like, hey, listen, we're gonna go get some sushi, some Thai, we're gonna get some because up in the mountains we have like three choices up here because we live like in the boondocks.
You need Uber Chopper or something where they can bring you like Uber Eats, like
They
they bring it with
don't,
the
yeah, they
drone,
don't,
the
yeah.
drone
They
thing.
just like 3 years ago started doing Instacart from the grocery store.
Oh,
Just like
nice.
three
Okay.
years ago. So like where my house is at, we're at like 8,000 feet. So you
Oh,
have to like
wow.
drive down and then like it takes 30 minutes to get to the grocery store. So they
Wow.
just started Instacart. And I was like, oh, I can just
Oh my
have stuff
God.
delivered because I've got 25 stairs from where you park
Oh,
to, because up in the mountains, your living room,
yeah.
everything's upstairs.
Yeah,
And you
yeah.
look over the mountains and like
Yeah.
bedrooms and stuff are downstairs. So
Yeah.
I call Instacart because I know they'll carry it up all those stairs from me. So I check all the time to see if we have any DoorDash, and we still don't have anything like that. But I check about every 6 months. It's like, please. What's your favorite time of day?
Favorite time of day. I love afternoons. I feel like afternoons, I get a lot of my work done in the morning. Afternoons, I have time. I'm a big workout guy, so I'll get a workout in the afternoon. It just feels like there's a little space to kind of work out and think and go for a hike or do whatever. But yeah, I like the afternoons.
I do too. I'm an afternoon kind of girl. I like afternoons and like early evening. That's like where I'm
Yeah.
just like, it feels like everything's kind of nice with the world. So tell
Yeah.
us again, how do people find you on social media?
Yeah, so if you search Bronson Hill, I'm on all the different medias. I've got a gift for your audience if you
Yes,
like. It's a
give it out.
guide. Yeah, it's a free guide for about inflation. And people say inflation's only 3% or 4%. I think it's probably more like 6 to 8%. And so we're seeing it. We're seeing prices, go up 50 to 100% of where they were 5 years ago. And so how do you get on the other side of that equation, right? How do you become an owner of assets? How do you become somebody who's using debt or other assets to your advantage? So the guide's called How to Use Inflation to Your Advantage. Real estate, using debt funds, using, precious metals, and just a lot of strategies people haven't heard of. But if you text the word inflation to the number 33777, so text the word inflation to the number 33777. It'll ask for your name and your email. It'll send you a guide, and then you can hear about kind of the different things we're working on as well.
Oh, I'm going to do that after we hang up today. I want to get a free guide
Yeah.
too. Okay,
Yeah.
so I love everything about you. You're wonderful. So and also folks that are listening, if you're new to Dwanderful, I want you to leave us a 5-star review and write a comment about how amazing and wonderful this interview was here today. Obviously, I want like you to subscribe, follow me on Facebook, TikTok, all everywhere at Dwanderful. It's pretty simple, but we can't grow our podcast without help from you. So I always ask you to do me a favor. If you learned one thing, had fun, heard something new, just anything at all, then follow, like, subscribe, comment, follow me on YouTube, Wonderful Real Estate Investing. I've got hundreds and hundreds of training videos up there. So you got to help us out because we're both here to help you all learn, and we can't grow without your help. Okay, so my last question of the day is I want you to give me a word of wisdom, but I want you to give me just one word.
Word of wisdom, one word. I would say learn.
Okay, now, so what we do in the Dwanderful world is I tell everybody to like get a little sticky and write the word learn and stick it up on your mirror. You're brushing your teeth. You're like, oh, there's my word learn. And so the word of the week is learn. So what does that mean to you?
So there's really two ways people transform their lives. In my opinion, there's a quote that says, "You'll be the same 5 years from now, except for the books you read and the people that you meet." And so, what is that? That's really networking, being like we talked about, getting around people that are doing amazing things. The
Mhm.
second one is education, reading books. And so, I make a ridiculous goal each year to how many books I want to read. And so, I think I'm at 97 books for 2025. I listen to them, and those count as well. But I try to learn because if you truly are the same person in 5 years, except for the books you read and the people you meet, do you want to be different? And, by reading a historical book, by reading a book, this personal development or some sort of finance related book, you're going to grow and you're going to learn so much from that. And you're going to become a more interesting person that's also going to allow you to connect with more people. And so I just can't underestimate the value of it. It really should be your part-time job to learn more. And Brian Tracy, who's a motivational speaker, he says, if you want to earn more, you have to learn more.
Yep.
So
I
learn.
love Brian Tracy too.
Yeah.
I love Tony Robbins too. I've been going to Tony Robbins seminars since I was in my 20s.
Amazing.
And I
Yeah.
would go and they'd be all the rah-rah, and I thought someday I'm going to be on that stage.
Yeah.
Stage. So back a
Love
few
it.
years ago, probably a decade ago, there was a company in New York called the Learning Annex, and they had these big
Uh-huh.
giant, they would rent out like this giant stadium and have these like 5-day events. And I spoke at them for probably for the 2.5, 3 years that they were in the actual business. And so I did actually speak up on the stage with Tony Robbins. I was like,
Oh, amazing. You did it. You
I
manifested
did.
it.
I did.
Yeah.
I was like,
Love
oh
it.
my gosh. Okay. So learn. And
Incredible.
so that is a great week, a great word. You said there's a two-part to it. So it was the other.
I didn't hear, you cut out for a little bit. Can you repeat the second part?
You said you kind of learn means it's like a two-part thing for you.
Oh, so well, learning is it's the education and the networking, right? So it's
Okay.
basically they go hand. So I think if you focus on learning this week and you make a commitment to do it, it will impact every area of your life, and it just will increase your openness to continue to grow.
I have a great book that they should read.
Okay.
It's called Fire Yourself.
Yeah, that's a great book.
I myself am going to be ordering that book and I'm going to read that book as well. It looks
Love
great. I
it.
mean, I'm always like, anything you can do to just get away from the rat race and be your own thing. I'm all for all of that all the time. So first, I'd like to thank you so much for sharing your time with me today. Um, you're 44 at 66, or you're 45 at 66. You realize that time becomes more valuable. I think when we're in our 20s and 30s, we're like, 10 foot tall, bulletproof partying, like we don't care. But then you get older, you're like, okay, I have less time on that end than I had on this end. And your time
Yeah.
and the things that you do with your time become more valuable. So I appreciate people that spend time with me because I feel like time is our most valuable asset.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
Oh,
it's you invest your time first, and you can always make more money, but you can't make more time.
that's it. Amen. You cannot. So I always like to thank people for spending their time. And for all of you listening, I appreciate you spending your time too, because, same thing. Time is important. All right, everyone. We'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. And remember that the truth is in the red letters. All right, everybody. Good night. Ciao. Thank you,
Thanks,
Bunsen.
Ron. Thank you.
I am so glad that you stuck around. I almost forgot to tell you. In addition to having this amazing educational podcast, I'm now able to work with you one-on-one. Yes, one-on-one, you and me working together, and have a 3-deal guarantee. 3-deal guarantee that you'll close 3 deals. So you have nothing to lose. You have everything to gain. Take the quiz. Go to dwanderful.com. Take the real estate investing quiz. See you on the other side.